Hello there people, so here we are on Sunday evening and been having some rain of late and been very nice indeed. Water butts are well on their way to getting filled up again and the gardens, allotments, pots outside, whatever, raised beds, wherever you're growing will have hopefully been watered, at least if you've had rain where indeed you are. So there we go. So been doing some thinking and some planning. So as you know, I've started the blog, so thank you very, very much to everybody who's had a look at that. And there's not much on there yet, but I intend to, do one article a week and basically just see where it goes and how it does. Basically, how I, started off doing the YouTube channel, really showing things that I cared a lot about in regards to gardening and putting them on the internet for other people to see. So I'm going to use the same strategy for the blog, so away we go. Now, gardening being the huge and powerful, infinite subject, my arm's getting tired, that it indeed is, really makes me think about the sheer power of this and the learning of it, the doing of it, the making mistakes, and getting your eventual produce that you indeed grow. And you have to have a degree of foresight and faith in what you're doing, because when you put that seed in the spring, say for a tomato plant, more on that in a moment, you don't know that's going to germinate, you don't know you're going to get a crop, and you've got to a degree put a lot of trust in the plant, in the weather, in yourself. Because you could grow something and, wild animals, you might grow a load of pumpkins and squashes or whatever, marrows, and, a deer might come and eat it. You might have some, like what I did, should know better. My gooseberries, the pigeons got more or less every single one. Negligence on my part not covering them up, but even so, you do need a degree of faith. But the power in growing your own food, it's so much. It sounds really strange me talking like this, but the more I think about it, I remember a few years ago talking to someone who didn't know how to grow potatoes, and at the time I found that really, really strange, because alright, I was brought up around gardeners, and I'm very, very grateful for that. But a lot of people weren't. And it makes me think about education that we're giving, what we're getting, what we're receiving, and who indeed is educating us. Because something so important as growing crops, power of this, end of the day, right, the idea of just going down, sorry about this peeps, I've just got to change the arm here, the idea of just going down the shop and buying your potatoes is great, it's lovely, very convenient, and the fact that they're more expensive than they were actually, you find that if you buy a portion of chips these days, they had to put their prices up, but still, in terms of the effort involved in growing potatoes, to sustain supply for society and all the effort and everything that goes with it, machinery, labour, blah, 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 in my opinion, it's still very, very cheap. Anyone who's grown, their own potatoes and a large crop of potatoes, not just a few, will be aware of this. And people not being aware of simple, in my opinion, basic human need stuff like this, it shows potential weaknesses in so many regards, because there's so much knowledge in the world that one can learn about gardening, or indeed the majority of subjects. You've seen me play a little bit of guitar. I'm far from anything special. I can play a bit of basic blues, but, there are people that can play complex jazz arrangements. People that you can just put on stage in a band and they can just jam along with whatever is being played. They can hear the chords and the notes and just blend in. Massive skill. same with whatever subject you choose to take on, but the basics of growing your own, the basics of, to a degree, I won't say self-sufficiency, because that is a very, very tough thing to achieve for the majority of people. I'm far from self-sufficient, you know. But a goal that you've heard me mention this before, if you've been viewing me, a goal that I am striving towards, and I invite other people if they want to have a go at it, and that's to just grow. If it's possible, if you're physically capable, you've got the ground, the time, and everything that goes with it. It's a big enterprise. It's a big thing. Not everyone is in a position to do it. You know, just 5% of your own food that you consume. If you can grow 5% of what you are consuming, that is such a powerful thing to do for the world. So if you think the flowers, the bees will love it, that means you don't have to get in your car maybe to go down to the shop for just that 5% of food. Lowers a bit of traffic on the road. It's not totally that simple, but you get where I'm coming from. That's 5% that doesn't have to be intensively farmed on the fields in order to sustain what we need for a society, and with the huge consumption of food that we do now indeed need for people. Such a massive amount. Think about it. Imagine it if everyone who could just lowered that pressure, if you will, on the entire system by 5%, the huge difference that would or could indeed make. Now, fully aware that many people are not in the position to do it. You know, if you have to work, I've spoke about this before, if you have to work 7 days a week in order to sustain, you know, you've got people to feed, yourself to feed, bills, there can be so much on people, there really can, and it's so tough for many. You know, if you're living 20 stories up in a high-rise apartment flat and you need to work 6 or 7 days a week just to pay the bills, and there are people in that position, very tough indeed. But if you really want to have a go at growing something, you know, get a little window box and put it on your windowsill in your kitchen. You know, spoke about people before I knew someone who had a balcony and he grew plants on that balcony. Such an amazing sort of thing, really, you know, these lovely tomatoes on a little balcony, which might have even been smaller than this polytunnel. Of course, many people in flats, apartments, whatever you want to call them, don't indeed have that. But if you really want to have a go at it, find a way, you know, a little pot, small little pot. Haven't got one here I can show you. Hang on, let me show you. There you go. Something like this, look. Size of that. Well, I've got this lovely little Muller-Thurgau grapevine. You know, something like that you maybe would fancy just growing a little chilli plant, you know, a few salad leaves, a tomato plant, whatever, for yourself. And just wet your whistle and ignite that passion, because things you don't have to. I started off small, you know. I started off with, I can't even remember, I mean, growing lots of stuff as a kid. I know I did a lot of that, but what was the first thing I bought? I really got into this, I can't remember, but you know, that was it. Runner beans. I remember I set a load of runner beans, nice straightforward crop. I knew how to grow them, I knew they grew well in the UK, so I remember clearing the ground, putting my wigwam up, and I grew my runner beans in pots beforehand, then I set them, and I remember that, and it was like, wow, what, you know. And I believe that people, if they want to do it, they should indeed do it. Find a way, you know, a small little pot with a tomato plant in. And I think that, you know, just a small thing like this could ignite something so powerful within you and it can change the way you look at so many things. You know, just as you walk down the street, you start noticing things. Oh, that tree, doesn't that tree look beautiful this time of year? You know, you see the trees leaf out in the spring. You see the leaves turn, or some of the leaves on deciduous trees, you know, turn, you know, in you know, like beech trees, whatever, going that lovely colour they go in the autumn. And then you see when they fall down, obviously in the US calling the autumn the fall. You know, these things that you'll notice, and you'll start to look forward to your crop. You know, the same as the farmer who at the start of the year puts his whatever he's growing in the ground. Yeah, what example should we use? Turnips. Sets his turnips in the ground. You know, he doesn't know much is going to happen, but it does, hopefully. You know, you can do the same on a much smaller scale, you know. Don't be put off that you don't have masses of land, masses of ground, you know. Okay, I'm speaking as someone fortunate enough to have a garden, but not everybody has. And I fully support everybody who wants to have a go at this great thing for yourself and society should be able to have a go at it one way or another. You know, helping at a community garden, if that floats your boat, so much. So I hope you understand where I'm coming from. Any comments, questions or what's post them below, and if you like my work, please feel free to like, share and subscribe. See you next time.